Hello and welcome to the channel where we provide you with tips and tools to help you move with purpose. In this video we're going to go through a single leg and single kettlebell or dumbbell complex. The main purpose of this complex is to actually get into the deep glute external rotators of the hip. The first exercise that we're going to do in this complex is the Bulgarian split squat. We're going to hold the weight in the contralateral arm, so that's the opposite arm to the leg that you're standing on. For this particular complex, because the focus is going to be more on those glutes, we're going to step forward a little bit so that the knee doesn't really travel over the toe. Now, we're going to scissor down a little bit into the bench with that back leg so that we have some stability and it locks those hips into place. We want to keep the hips nice and level throughout this entire movement. And we want to hug the ground with your foot. And in order to do that, we want to torsion or externally rotate and corkscrew into the ground a little bit. So you can notice that little nuance, my knee's pointing forward, but then I corkscrew in, it's still pointing forward, but I'm hugging the ground with my foot and cinching everything up, locking my hip into place and making it stable. So we're going to keep our head nice and upright. Think of the crown of the head through the ceiling, and we're sinking, keeping the head, shoulders, and hips stacked over top of one another. So you're going to do your repetitions slowly coming in. We want to make sure that that knee tracks the exact same direction throughout the entire repetition. So we want to avoid this roll in of the hip, especially in the bottom position here. So avoid that collapsing. Make sure the torsion comes out of the hip throughout the entire repetition. So the next exercise in the sequence is going to be a single leg bent over row. So we're going to leave our foot elevated on the back bench. We want to keep it cinched in. The big thing here is when we hinge over, we want to maintain that stability. So again, that hugging of the foot to the ground and that external rotation through the hip throughout the entire set. As we're hinging down, you want to avoid sinking your hips in and resting into that hip joint. We want to actively keep those hips laid level and nice and stable throughout this exercise. So here, tall through the crown of the head, all the way to the tailbone. Think of a proud chest, and you're going to do your bent over row. So we've got an isometric hold in this hip hinge position, which is really going to get into those deep glute muscles. And you're going to feel it. Things are going to start screaming. We'll continue on to exercise number 3 in the complex, still leaving our foot where it is cinched in. Once again, the focus is going to be on hugging the ground with that foot and that external rotation of that hip, keeping it nice and stable. Again, hips balanced and nice aligned, and we're going into our RDL, so our single leg RDL. So again, nice and tall through the crown of the head, all the way through to the tailbone, staying nice and proud with the chest. All we're doing here is gliding your hips back so that weight travels straight down. We're getting into that hip hinge position. When the hips stop moving back, that's where you stop, and then squeezing through the ground, tall up through the ceiling. So we're going to avoid over pushing our hips through. We just want to stand up nice and tall. Once again, as you're coming down to that lower position, keeping those hips nice and level, we want to avoid this slouching in that bottom position and coming up. So everything nice and level, slowly glide the hips down, keep everything supported and stable, drive through the ground and come back up. We want to avoid any rotation through that stabilizing leg. The last exercise, or the fourth exercise for most people, is going to be your contralateral overhead press. So again, we're going to leave that back foot where it is. The focus, hugging the ground with that foot, cinching that hip into place. So maintaining that external rotation and stability. So from here, opposite arm to the leg you're standing on, you're doing that overhead press, and you're going to do the specified number of repetitions. So from here, I'm keeping a neutral position with my hand with the bell, and I pronate as I go up. But you can do whatever applies to you. So once again, we're going to think head through the ceiling and be nice and tall as we get up. I want my arm finishing in line with the ear and then slow and controlled all the way down. Now with this one, it's easy as you're getting into that top position to let this leg go and let that hip rotate a little bit. So avoid that, keep everything squared up throughout the duration. Now if you made it through all of those exercises, congratulations. There's no doubt that glute is absolutely screaming at you. But here's a bonus for those of you that like bonuses. So we're going to go into a full hip hinge position. Again, making sure those hips are nice and level. We're pausing here, and you're actually going to do a single leg squat all the way down and back up. But you're staying in that hinged position. Again, the focus is maintaining that torsion through the hip throughout that range of motion. This is certainly going to crush that glute, as well as those foot intrinsics and the quad. So you'll perform each exercise for the specific number of reps that your program requires, and you're going to sequence and flow from one exercise directly into the other. If you happen to need to take a 15-second pause between those exercises to reset yourself, that's okay. Thanks again for tuning into the channel. Once again, if you found this video helpful, please share it, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.